percents. A cent is 1/100th of a dollar. There's 100 pennies in a dollar. A century is 100 years. So we're looking at that beginning of the word, cent. And we see it's in cent, in percent. And cent means 100, so percent means per 100 or out of 100. And this is the symbol for percent. What percent is this? Well, we've got 10 by 10, so that is 100. And 9 of them are shaded in, so that's 9 out of 100. Or you could just say 9%. What percent is 1/4? 1/4 is a fraction, and we want to change it to a percent. And percent means out of 100. So we're going to change this fraction into a fraction that has a denominator of 100. So we can say, what can we do to this 4 to turn it into a 100? Well, 4 times 25. We're making an equivalent fraction. If we do it to the denominator, we have to be fair and do it to the numerator. So 1 times 25 tells us this missing number that goes right here in the numerator of 25. So 1 out of 4 is the same as 25 out of 100, or we could just write 25%. How would we change 3/20ths to a percent? We would do the same thing. We would set it equal to a fraction with a denominator out of 100, and we would say, well, what can we do to change 20 into a 100? We would say times 5. 20 times 5 is 100. 3 times 5 is 15. So 3 out of 20 is the same as 15%. Change 80% to a fraction in simplest form. Well, this is pretty easy. We have 80%, and we got to remember that percent means out of 100, so we put it out of 100. It's 80% is 80 out of 100. Now we have our fraction. All we have to do is finish by simplifying. 20 is the largest number that goes into both of these. So the simplified fraction that's equal to 80% is 4/5. Let's try another one. Let's change 7% to a fraction in simplest form. Well, again, percent means out of 100, so you just put it out of 100. And 7% is 7 out of 100. And nothing goes into 7 because it's prime other than 1 and 7, so it's finished. It's already in simplified form. Change 112% to a fraction in simplest form. It looks a little strange because it's more than 100%, but we're going to do it the same exact way. 112% is the same as a fraction out of 100. And it's 112%, so it's 112 out of 100. Again, we want to simplify it. We simplify it by dividing by 4, and that's going to make the fraction out of 25, and 112 divided by 4 is 28. As you can see, this is 28 out of 25. That numerator is larger than the denominator, meaning that this is an improper fraction. It's more than one whole. So we can also write it as 1 3/25. Finally, let's change some decimals to percents. And to be able to do that, we need to remember decimal place value. change 7/10ths to a percent. The place value of the 7 is tenths. Every time you have a decimal, that number to the right of it is tenths. So we have 7 out of 10. And we want to make it a percent, so we make it out of 100. And 10 times 10 is 100. 7 times 10 is 70. So we have 70 out of 100, meaning we have 70%. 7/10ths is the same as 70%. Let's try this next one. We've got change 23 hundredths to a percent. So it goes tenths and then hundredths. So this is going to be 23 hundredths, or 23 out of 100. And we can immediately, since it's already out of 100, immediately change it to a percent. So this one is 23%. Our last one, we want to change 2 and 34 hundredths to a percent. So you could say, so we can say that this is the fraction 2 whole and 34 hundredths. Well, percents are going to be fractions. So this is a mixed number. We need to change it to a fraction. So we do 2 times 100 plus 34 makes 234 out of 100. So our final answer is going to be 234%.